Welcome to the 3 by 5 news, views, and reviews scribbled on index cards. Today, usually I work from a script, but today I'm speaking extemporaneously, which is not easy for me. I'm basically a writer. Let me just briefly explain by one reason the 3 by 5 was created was in reaction to all the political YouTube channels you see where people just talk and talk and talk. However edifying and entertaining they may be, I confess to a certain restlessness. I'd like to see things tied up in a knot. I think that's probably true of many of you as well, who probably click off talk shows on YouTube after a few minutes. Speaking extemporaneously does not come natural to me. Maybe neurological. When I played high school football, I used to lead with my head, use it as a battering ram, as a defender. Much as I enjoyed seeing players, or at least one, fall down clutching his stomach, I was also not good for my head. Coach never told me it was illegal. That's called spearing. An official never called it. That was back in 1967. That may not be the reason I have trouble speaking extemporaneously, but at my age, so many different health issues. Who knows what it is? I have some other ideas. However, the reason I'm speaking today is I wanted to get personal about my feelings about Trump. Contrary to what you might think, if you watch this channel, I don't hate the man. As a longtime practitioner of meditation, I don't hate anybody, or I tell myself that. Well, he's really, even if you want to hate him, he's too pathetic to hate. But the issue I really want to talk about is how he's exhausted me emotionally, mentally. If you're from the metropolitan area of New York like I am, and you're approximately the same age as Trump, I'm 4 years younger, you will remember him. He was in the newspapers, tabloids, television, talk shows, all the time. First, he began by buying the Plaza Hotel in New York and redesigning it, though in foretelling his later business failures, he later sold it for at a loss of $83 million. And nevertheless, that didn't prevent him from signing on to that book about him called The Art of the Deal, which came out in 1987 and created this illusion that he was a great businessman. Then, of course, he got into the casinos, and resultant bankruptcy, and there were other things like his Trump University was ridiculous, which he later had to pay a lot of money back on that, and buy the New Jersey Generals. Plus, we always had to deal with his personal life. Like, why do I have to know about Marla Maples? No offense to her. And then, of course, a big red flag. He put an ad in one of the local papers. I can't remember whether it was the Times or News or Post. I think it was the Times, calling for the execution of the Central Park Five. If you'll recall, they were later found innocent and exonerated. Oh, that was ugly. And the racism of his father's business practices, trying to block blacks from renting or buying, which Trump himself signed on to. Anyway, the point is, by around 2008, I was so sick of the guy. But that was the year we in the metropolitan area were just had enough of him, many of us. But by 2008, that was the year The Apprentice first began airing. That it propagated the illusion that he was a great business executive and a person of a great authority. That show was created by Mark Burnett, who also created The Survivor. So the rest of the country is just starting to catch on now. It's starting to be acquainted with him. They don't see all this. They're not aware of his background, his tawdry background of failure. And but by this point, like he's new to the rest of the country. The rest to those of us in the metropolitan areas, like we're just that's enough already. And then we go through the whole presidency, and he loses the election. Eventually, is blocked from staging a coup, and we still can't get rid of him. Remember when Kevin McCarthy, I don't know if he was still the speaker or had been deposed, went down to Mar-a-Lago shortly after the election, and after that, the Republicans started drifting back to Trump. So he's not president, but for the whole 4 years that Biden's president, we're thinking about Trump. He's moving from the back of our minds to the front of our minds, and now he's front and center. I'm so nervous now about the election. On a personal level, like his supporters, their big issues are the price of groceries and immigration, of course. If I'm going to get really personal and pick one issue just for today, it's this latest news about how Trump's proposed economic plans could result in a 33% slash in Social Security 8 years from now. It's so close. Can you imagine that? But the thing is, he's just taken up such lodging in my head, and it's kind of, it just infects us all. I just want to be rid of it. Anyway, if you start to get a panic attack from Trump, here's my advice as a practitioner of meditation. Take a deep breath, obviously. Distend your lower stomach while you're breathing in, and then feel the air coming into your lower lungs. That's an area where most people never really breathe air into. Most people just breathe from the top of their lungs or the middle of their lungs. And it's it's a very bracing experience. You don't really need to do it more than once or twice. And then try not to think about it for a while. Here's my plea. I need to get rid of him. I just need to get him out of my mind. I just want to spend my last remaining years in some semblance of peace. I just can't be thinking about him. This is all personal, just me. We'll get back to our regular videos very shortly. Thank you for listening to my sad plea for help.